There were big obstacles in something that is still running today. The Erie Canal has been helping trade and import for a long time, but almost wasn't made due to only a small group of people. The Erie Canal was built in New York and connects to the Hudson. It was built for better trade and import for the U.S. society. This was to get more trade routes through the U.S. because at the time there were not great ways for trade and import to happen. But the Erie Canal changed that. This canal took 3 years to build, which is longer than it took for the law to get passed for the construction to start. Crazy, huh? What caused my event to happen was anger at the transport system in the U.S. Import and trade was very slow, which wasn't good for how much population there was in the U.S. And there was only a couple of routes taken for trade and import. And New Yorkers were tired of it. They wanted different routes taken for this system, and they wanted it to happen fast. But some people, like James Madison, were not okay with it. This is why he vetoed it, even though many others wanted it. But James Madison's act wasn't going to stop the supporters. I believe this is just like little kids. When they don't have it, it makes them want it even more. The Erie Canal was thought of by a man in prison named Jesse Hawley. He got the idea. Since trade was bad, he had to find a way to fix it. And the plan he thought of was brilliant. Connecting the Hudson to the Erie would create another trade route and import route for the United States. He drew the plans to connect the two, and when it was released, it caught the eyes of a man named DeWitt Clinton. And he was one of the first supporters that was going to make the Erie Canal happen. The group of supporters talked to the New York legislature and was able to get funds for the possible trade routes passed. Everything looked bright for the canal, until the idea of the routes for the canal was turned down in 1810. This was the first big obstacles that the supporters of the canal faced. But this would not stop the idea to happen. On 1812 to 1814, the limitations on trade was not good. This is because they were very limiting on routes and no other ones were getting built. And New Yorkers were not happy with what was going on with trade and import, giving them more incentive to get the Erie Canal built. The law was passed saying that New York legislature would support funding, but sadly had been vetoed by James Madison. Everyone wanted the Erie Canal to be made except one political party. DeWitt Clinton became the governor of New York, and since he was one of the first supporters, he began construction. The construction began and it took 3 years to finish, but this had helped trade and import for not only New York, but the entire U.S. I believe the creation of the Erie Canal caused change because even if a law gets vetoed, it can get passed. Not only one person in the government can control what happens. Also, it initiated the era of growth and freight. It initiated the era of growth because of how large the canal was, and the era of freight because trade and import was larger. Thank you guys so much for listening. Now you know about the Erie Canal.